Greetings and salutations. Hello, and how are you? My name is Jake Query. This is Derek Schultz, and it is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named charitably award-winning Query and Schultz program here on ISC Sports Network. And Derek, you like reality television, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you? What was it you used to watch? The Teen Mom.
Teen Mom, I loved. Laguna Beach, which became The Hills. It followed
that was,
Lauren Conrad around to her
fake.
internship at Teen Vogue in New York City, where she met Whitney, and that was a really that was a time in my life where I was also going through a lot of changes. So that show really kind of spoke to me about just growing as a person and as a woman. Well, as a woman for them, as a man for me. God, what else did I like? Jersey Shore. Really anything that MTV offered.
Okay, did you like Eliminate?
I know what it is.
Okay,
I didn't like that.
Did you like The Apprentice?
Not really.
Okay, did you like any of these? I'm trying to think of like
Survivor? I mean, originally, like
American
the original
Idol?
run of Survivor.
American Idol?
Yeah, I mean, everybody watched American Idol.
So it feels like the Colts coaching search is like those shows. Like, we're just going to talk to everybody, and eventually we're going to whittle it down, and then we're going to hand a list to Jim Irsay, and then he's going to make a hire.
Let me say this. I think what they're doing is great. I like the way that they're handling
I don't
this.
disagree. Here's my thought. I don't disagree with the fact that I applaud them for being very thorough. And I am the first to admit, Derek, if they weren't handling it this way, I would be just as it's totally unfair because I would be sitting here going, are they not going to interview
what
anybody?
Are they doing?
What are they doing?
Are they asleep at the wheel?
But, and Bob Kravitz said it best, I thought, this morning on the radio, it feels performative. And by that I mean, I get it. It's the world we live in. It's social media. It's 2023 sports coverage. But do I need to know every single time they talk to somebody and we just completed this interview, we just completed this interview, we just completed this interview? Okay, I know that you're doing a thorough search. Great. I don't need to hear minute by minute by minute about it.
I think there is right now, besides being a fracture with the Colts internally, I think you'd agree with this. There's a bit of a fracture between the fan base and the team, right? The last couple of years, wouldn't you agree that there's been a divide? So Bob or anybody else that thinks it's performative, to me, I can only tell you my read on it. I think this is their way of trying to be as transparent as possible and understanding that we need to rebuild the trust with our fans again. So let's just put all our cards out on the table.
Is this going to rebuild the trust if, for example,
so Jeff Saturday still gets hired?
Yeah, if they do all of this and then they go back to what they already had, aren't people going to be like, wait a minute, this was all? Then I think they put themselves – I feel bad for Jeff Saturday, quite frankly, because I think they put Jeff Saturday in a tough spot. The manner in which Jeff Saturday was hired as the interim, followed up now by the manner in which they have spread this wide cast net of letting them know that they talk to everybody. That then puts it in a situation where if Jeff Saturday is hired, he's in a difficult position because literally there's going to be like angst amongst people because they're going to be like, then they're going to feel like they were led down a garden path.
Well, yeah, because he is, at least from an experience standpoint, he's the least
But I don't mean that. I mean,
right?
What I'm saying is this. Having nothing, let's just say that Jeff Saturday was Bill Walsh, right? What I'm saying is if you have an interim and after the interim goes through the interim process, you say, now, fans, you're really going to see how thorough we are. We are vetting this to the nth degree. And every single time that you bring somebody in, you go, hey, fans, let's introduce you to Derek. We interviewed him today.
I'd get the job, by the way.
An hour later, hey, fans, here's Greg. We talked to him yesterday. And you keep doing that. And then at the end of it, you go, and the winner is the guy we had all along. Then people are going to go, wait a minute. So you were just doing all of that as window dressing. It meant nothing. And that's unfair to Jeff Saturday. It puts Jeff Saturday in a situation where then he automatically is the bad guy.
You know what this means, though? And look, Lord knows I've been wrong on this show before. It means to me that they're not hiring Jeff Saturday. I think if you bring in 2 to 4 people and then you go back to Saturday. That's one thing. To cast this wide of a net,
I mean,
and have this many people with head coaching experience and decades
Derek,
in the league, and then go back to Jeff Saturday, that would make them look worse.
What I don't understand is this, and again, I think this comes off or is misconstrued as me having a problem with it. I don't have a problem with this. I'm the old guy here, right? And I've covered a lot of teams, and I've covered teams that have gone through coaching searches before. And I don't ever recall before with any team or any franchise or in any sport, I don't recall before where it became Oprah Winfrey. And you get an interview, and you get an interview, and you get an interview, and everybody's getting an interview. Honestly, are these people applying for the job, or is this how they do it now in the NFL?
I think they're trying to be as transparent as possible.
But what I'm saying, Derek, is I get that. But
you think it's over the top?
I think the NFL, everything the NFL does now is about ratings and theater and interest. The draft. The draft now is going to be a 3-day event with Eric Church and 600,000 people, and day 1 and day 2, and here's an orangutan to make a pick, and here's a 90-year season ticket holder, and here's a guy from the Vikings that's still talking for 3 minutes till we hook him off the stage. I mean, everything is performative is the best word for it. The combine. It used to be, nobody can go in the combine, that top secret stuff there. Now it's every 65-year-old fat guy in sweatpants and Nike Air Monarchs can sit with a stopwatch, and we're going to put it on NFL Network, and everyone can see it. It's a 5-day event. You have to come to the combine. And now it's turned that into coaching searches. Everybody, we're going to tell you who we're interviewing, and tomorrow it's these 3 people, and then these 3 people, and then these 3 people, and then we're going to whittle it down to 9. And then it's literally coaching searches now have become like the Hall of Fame process.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I think the Colts are doing this so people don't keep harping on what just happened to them in the season.
But it's not just the Colts, is what I'm saying. It's every team that like the Texans. I mean.
But again, all those teams sucked, so they want to move on to the next thing as soon as possible.
My point, long-winded and circuitous and redundant, is simply this, and that is, what I want to know is the following. Do NFL coaching searches work like normal jobs, where people apply for the job or express an interest through an intermediary, and then if they are a likely candidate, they get interviewed? Or do NFL coaching searches work where you don't apply at all, you just hope your phone rings? And if you are a coordinator, your phone's going to ring. And so then you just go and you interview everywhere.
I think it's both, honestly. I mean, I don't know that, but I think that it's both about how this process works.
I mean, literally, it's like the Colts are now interviewing a guy because he actually was next door neighbors to a guy whose wife had an affair with a guy who was actually the 7th grade teacher of Peyton Manning's quarterbacks coach at Tennessee. Well, let's bring him in. Give him an interview.
This is weird because, usually I'm the one that is, I don't know, kind of fired up or whatever else when I feel like the Colts are doing something silly or stupid. And I get your argument. I get the fact that it feels over the top. But, and maybe this is just me defaulting towards optimism. I'm choosing to take what they're doing at face value.
I get it. I get
trusting their process.
I get it. All I'm saying is this. They better come out then with a hire where you go, wow, that was a really good hire. I hope that when they make a hire that we are sitting here and I go, okay, they got their guy. But then again, they've interviewed so many people that if it's somebody that was one of the first 4 or 5, you're like, then what? I mean, I get it. You want to be thorough.
Yeah, if it's Bubba Ventrone, you're like,
right,
okay. Well, you went through all this and you went with him?
I personally think Raheem Morris is the best guy. I don't know any more than anybody else, but that feels to me like he would be the best guy.
He is the right mix of, I think, all the things that they want.
Correct.
But there are a lot of guys that bring a lot to the table. I mean, you've got basically the hotshot offensive coordinator in Steichen with the Eagles, and you've got some hotshot defensive coordinators that are in that mix as well. So it's a who's who.
But then you get D'Amico Ryans that comes out and says,
yeah, who knows what's going to happen here? Yeah.
He turned it down because he's going to go to Houston.
And we should say, by the time this airs, the Colts are supposed to cut their list down from 13 to 5, reportedly. So by the time this airs, Monday night, I guess, this may be, they might come out with an update, I don't know, later today.
Who do you think their 5 would be?
I think it's definitely going to be Raheem Morris is definitely going to be on there.
I would agree.
I think Steichen's going to be on there. I'm looking at the list right now to make sure that I'm not missing anybody. If Ryans takes an interview, then I think he's going to be on there. I think Dan Quinn's going to be on there.
I would agree.
I think he's going to be. What am I allowed to? 4?
You're missing one. Well, you're missing 2 others.
If I had to pick a 5th, looking at this list, you got to be impressed with what Brian Callahan's done in Cincinnati.
He is
right?
one of them that's on the list.
But that's my 5. I can't go any longer. And I do think that Saturday is going to be given a second interview.
Correct.
With Irsay.
Correct.
Yeah. Because Irsay apparently was not involved in the first round of interviews.
Raheem Morris, Jeff Saturday, Brian Callahan, Dan Quinn. And maybe D'Amico
Ryan. I think Steichen is definitely, if he wants the job, I think he's definitely in there. I'm with Sirianni and all that, I'm worried about what they might say about the Colts, but I think he's definitely on there.
I want to make clear.
I'm saying his name right.
I want to make clear, by the way, I don't have a problem with the Colts. I don't know how to explain this. I don't have a problem with the Colts interviewing all of these people. I don't have a problem with the Colts being transparent about it. It just, to me, is a new phenomenon of, like, I don't ever remember. I mean, it was all. It's funny to me how in the NFL everything is really tight-lipped until they realize they can capitalize on stuff, and then it's like, we're just here to look at everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when Tony Dungy was hired, there was, I remember Tony Dungy was, shortly after he was fired in Tampa, he was doing like a community cleanup thing, and and I remember working at Channel 6, and we got video of Tony Dungy, and he's like pulling weeds off of chain link fences, talking about how Indianapolis had just contacted him. Chuck Pagano. When Chuck Pagano got the job, Derek, I don't know that I had even heard of Chuck Pagano until all of a sudden it's like, the Colts are zeroing in on Chuck Pagano. Oh, okay. And like 2 days later, he's the coach.
Yeah. That happened quickly, I felt like, the Pagano one. They kind of identified him, right. I think it sounded like. But you know what, Jake? If I'm going to give the Colts the benefit of the doubt, they've done pretty well picking coaches. Like the bad coaches or the underperforming coaches of the last 25 years have been guys like Jim Mora and Chuck Pagano and Frank Reich, who had successful seasons at times. Right. And their teams had success. And like
they also had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but they were, I think, as much as I didn't like Pagano, like I don't think he's an incompetent man. There are some coaches in the NFL that have been terrible, that have had no idea what they've been doing, and the Colts, at the very least, have not had that.
Rod Dowhauer left a lot to be desired.
Well, I specifically did not mention the 80s and 90s coaches for some of their
I remember Rod Dowhauer, his press
decision-making.
conferences, he'd like sit in a couch. Well, guys, let's talk about what happened. Well, you got beat 38-0. Yeah, we showed some improvements in areas. Yeah. The old man came down and called a couple plays for us. It was cool. It's like, okay.
Is he still with us?
Can you look that up?
Frank Kush passed away recently, like 2 or 3 years ago,
Ron
right?
Meyer did as well, I believe,
yeah.
too.
I'll look it up real quick.
Is it, I just got thinking about something.
And obviously Ted Marshall-Broda did. Okay, Kush actually got 2017. That's how.
Is Rod Dowhauer living?
Rod Dowhauer is living. He is turning 80 years young this spring.
Okay. So is he the only pre-Peyton Manning?
Well, Venturi was a interim, right?
Full-time coach. Am I missing?
Yeah, because Lindy Infante passed away a couple of years ago too, right? 2017-18. No.
I mean, you have
2015 for Lindy Infante.
So I mean, you had Kush, Dowhauer, Meyer, and then Infante and Marchibroda. Those are all the pre, and then
they're
Mora,
all past,
right?
Yep, and then Mora. And Mora will live till he's 120 because he does like 800 push-ups or something every morning at 4:30. Gets out of bed. I'm ready to get after it. Jim Mora.
Favorite interview I think we've ever done, though, by the way.
That was amazing. Can I just quickly give – not everybody listened to the radio show, even though it was this cherished, celebrated thing that watches this show. But we did a catching up with Jim Mora, and I thought for sure he was going to say no because I thought he was going to say, oh, here are these two yahoos in Indianapolis. What's the first question they're going to ask me? Playoffs? Playoffs?
Right.
We were 25 minutes into the conversation before playoffs got mentioned.
Right. And remember, he said, yeah, I just, you guys, I enjoy this interview. Yeah, I got a warm feeling right now with you guys. You guys call me anytime.
Well, you were, and you weren't blowing smoke. You really appreciated and respected Jim Mora's morals and the person that he was and standing up for Vic Fangio and all of that. And I think he appreciated that.
And he was very candid about how everything went down with his ouster with Bill Polian.
Yeah.
His conflict with Bill Polian. It's a good interview.
He won USFL championships. I mean, he took over 2 disaster franchises, and they had good seasons with the Saints and Colts.
USFL,
he didn't win playoff games and championships, but
USFL back in April. I'm excited for it.
Well,
I watched so much of the USFL last spring, and like the kick returner for
that's
the
right.
Cowboys.
I did see that.
USFL
Turbin,
MVP.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys that were found.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's there for.
This is a good transition. Let's talk a little bit about divisional weekend as well. It was really kind of 4 games. You had a couple of blowouts in there, including the Eagles just dismembering the Giants again. But that final Cowboys drive. Full disclosure, I hate the Cowboys. I always hate the Cowboys. Cowboys Schadenfreude brings me a great deal of pleasure. I don't know about you. It was hard to watch that final drive. Like, that was the most incompetent, ridiculous final minute playoff drive I've ever seen.
But here's the thing. They were in pretty decent position, and I can relate to this. Dak Prescott, on their second to final play of the drive, as they're going down, the Dallas Cowboys are down 7. They've got 45 seconds to go. 40 seconds to go. They got to go get in. They got to score a touchdown, and then extra point.
Yeah,
right?
Fingers crossed.
But Dak Prescott makes a play, completes a pass, and the receiving
Dalton Schultz,
the receiver,
no relation,
just fails to put his foot down. And I thought, now here's a guy I can relate to. Here is a tall, athletic, strapping guy in Dak Prescott who sees everything slip between his fingertips because of the boneheaded lack of thought from a guy named Schultz. And right there, Dak became my spirit animal.
Your career has been kind of like Dak, where people talk about what a big deal you are, and then I'm like, what's he really done, though? You know what I mean? So
hey,
I think there are a
lot
of relations on there.
But that last play, though, speaking of Chuck Pagano, he had to love it. They lined up in this formation, and you're going, well, they've got something lined up here, right? This is going to be. I mean, I can't wait to see this. And I guess the thought was that they were going to complete a pass, and then Ezekiel Elliott was going to be running full sprint, and they were going to lateral to him.
Yes, because I think the thought process, which is hard to decipher because it was such a disaster play, was that Elliott is ineligible on that play. But you can lateral to him. So maybe thinking that because he's ineligible, they're not going to pay attention to him. We can sneak it to him real quick. Right?
I guess.
Yeah. The immediacy of the play is what made it so hilarious. Because literally, Dak snapped the ball, got rid of it immediately. That play was over within a half a second.
It was unreal.
And he got put on that play. I don't even know who caught it. But
it was instantaneous.
Smack. Game over. Bye. Everybody send the exits. But, Jake, they didn't even get to their – and you mentioned the Schultz. I know there were other things that happened in that drive. They didn't even get to their own 30. They had a minute left. Yeah, they had no timeouts, but they had a minute left. They couldn't even get to their own 30-yard line.
I mean, it was bad.
Prescott almost took a safety on the first play.
I know.
My God, I mean, he got pinballed in his own end zone.
Credit to him for getting out of it, right?
Good for the Niners. And this is, I think what we got with this Final Four, somebody said this, and I think for the most part they're right. There's an argument that can be made in the other way. I think in the AFC you got the 2 best quarterbacks, and in the NFC you got the 2 best teams. 2 best rosters.
Yeah.
I mean, the Niners have the best roster in the NFL,
I feel like best
right?
quarterback in the AFC, Josh Allen, is interchangeable probably. I mean,
that's the hard
disagree,
argument to make.
But he's right there, right? Somebody said to me last night, they're like, Josh Allen is not a top 5 quarterback. And I'm like, okay, well, name 5 better.
Yeah.
Mahomes
if you were
is better.
drafting it today.
Burrow's better.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, Burrow and Allen are kind of like this to me.
Yeah. I mean, Burrow's pretty good.
Mahomes is still 1.
Burrow has also elite level talent around him offensively. I mean, he's got some weapons. Not that Allen doesn't, but back to the point. The Giants-Eagles game, I mean, the NFC East games always suck anyway. Who cares? San Francisco is a fascinating story because this supports Chris Ballard's theory that it's not about one guy. However, there's something to be said for, maybe if you build an elite-level roster, it's not about one guy, but San Francisco has a guy that was the last player selected in the NFL draft as a third-string quarterback that's better than anybody the Colts trotted out this year.
Yeah, and they have elite playmakers all around him.
Of course.
I mean,
that helps, right?
Yeah, no offense to, like, Michael Pittman and some of that, but it's not the same level of playmaker that you have there.
Then you have, and that's a great story. I mean, San Francisco is a great story, no doubt about it. Philadelphia, though, is the team, Derek, that no one talks about.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talks about him. I mean, Jalen Hurts is playing at an unbelievably high level. That they have weapons as well. They're only a 2-point favorite. Mm-hmm. Kansas City, a 1.5 favorite. Philly, a 2-point favorite. I'd take Cincinnati and Philly all day.
But I am fascinated by this Super Bowl matchup because you're going to have one of the elite quarterbacks against one of the elite rosters, and this is going to kind of decide this argument of, do you need the elite quarterback or well, I shouldn't say that because Jalen Hurts, I think, is a highly regarded, right? Yeah. So it's not like he's some nobody. But I do think that narrative, especially if it's the Niners, that narrative is going to be really interesting in the Super Bowl.
What just dawned on me, three of the 4 quarterbacks remaining all played in the Big 12, right?
Iowa State for Purdy. Dak was Miss State. Oh, Dak. We were just talking about Dak. He's not it. Jalen Hurts, Bama, and Oklahoma.
I was thinking Oklahoma.
Yeah. Burrow, Ohio State, LSU.
Mahomes,
Texas Tech. Yeah.
And then you also have Urban Meyer's a football genius, as we know. But Urban Meyer he watches Joe Burrow, who he couldn't put on the field, and Trevor Lawrence, that he had to beat, who played well, that he didn't win more than 3 games with.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me.
It's pretty sad. Pretty sad for
him. Should be a good conference championship weekend, though.
You know, it's not sad. Our friends at Lou Malnati's and their delicious pies. Order.loumalnati's.com. Can we get the I don't know. I didn't share the graphic beforehand, so I don't know if we can do the graphic or not. But
we don't have the monitors.
Oh yeah, I don't. Do we have our graphics at all?
They're
up there.
This direction.
We can't see.
It's this direction.
So no.
Is it this direction?
So
or this direction?
The graphics are there, but we can't see them because our monitor is broken. So I'm reaching for the graphic right now.
You're reaching all right.
Am I reaching? I'm in the right direction? Yes. Okay. Well, they're pointing up, and I know it's not like directly above me. But let's get that code. QNSFERDEL23. QNS Friedel 23. Or if you call in your order, just mention Query and Schultz, all Indy area locations. Okay. Anywhere you are. Carmel, Greenwood.
And that gets you free delivery.
86th Street, Broad Ripple, Friedel.
Lou Malnati's is fantastic, by the way. I mean, you're talking Chicago-style pizza, absolutely fantastic. They have thin pizza as well, actually, for that matter.
Yeah.
So not just the deep crust, which is the way to go, but they also have standard traditional style, and it is fantastic. Literally tomatoes this big.
Yeah, their thin crust pie is good, too. I actually had it the other day for the first time. But I go for the traditional deep dish pie, but their thin crust pie is very good as well. Their wings, delicious. The salads are great as well. Order.loumalnati's.com and use our special code. Valentine's Day right around the corner, so I know you've been thinking about that, not only for Shannon, but for me too. Starting Saturday, February 4th, and through Valentine's Day, you can get a heart-shaped pie.
Really? That's cool.
Heart-shaped pie at Lou Malnati's. You can even grab a frozen heart-shaped pie out of the freezer's case that's there of your local Lou's.
Just a freezer case, not freezer's case.
Freezer's case. The freezer owns the case that has the frozen pies in it.
Do you get that at Kroger's?
I do, yeah, or Myers. I think they might carry some of the Lou's pies.
Lou Malnati's also does our location. Look Who's Cooking, Derek.
And it's going to be the guy that we just talked about. I just kind of like Brady. This is a really unpopular standpoint, and please don't make fun of me because I know you disagree with me here. I still think this isn't me being a Colts homer. This is just me truly. I still think at the end of the day, Peyton Manning was a better player than Tom Brady. But there was something about Brady that you always felt like he was kind of in control. Some of that is narrative based, I think.
You felt like if Brady had the ball at the end of the game, it was over.
We built this aura about Brady, and some of it is him and some of it is just us that built this around him, where it was almost like he was unquestioned ever. And I wonder if we're heading into a Mahomes-Burrow thing like Manning and Brady.
I would agree.
Where Mahomes is the guy,
And then,
right?
So does that make Josh Allen? Is he going to be like the Phillip Rivers of this?
Yeah, see, I don't know where Allen fits into this, and maybe I'm just talking
Well, I mean,
out of
Phillip
my,
Rivers was a darn good, gutsy, fun quarterback.
for sure.
But he played with Manning and with Brady.
Or Breeze.
He had a few chances in there. Trevor Lawrence is the other guy that I'm telling you. He's 23 years old. You can't rule out Trevor Lawrence, but I get what you're saying.
It just feels like even when with all the skill position talent and all the other things that the Cincinnati, and defensively they were great, everything else that they did in that blowout, you just feel totally comfortable with Burrow. Like he just kind of walks out of the tunnel and you're like, this dude's just got it, man. He
does.
I don't know.
I mean, he is certainly in the midst of, if you combine college with professional, one of the best 4-year windows between the two that we've ever seen.
In that divisional game, 23 of 36, 242, pair of tuds.
Touchdowns.
So they were up 2 tuds early and
touchdowns.
Really extended that lead late. But I love this stat because, Cincinnati has been terrible for so long. They had 5 playoff wins in their history until 2 years ago, and they already have 5 just with Burrow.
I was listening to WLW yesterday, and they were saying they're back in the conference championship with the chance to go to the Super Bowl for the second straight year, and they said, "Did you ever think we'd say that about the Cincinnati Bengals?" So it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
It's cool for Cincinnati, and they have. I'm just warning you, Bengals fans, right now. You have like one more year to enjoy this before then everybody gets sick of you. Like right now, with everything that's gone on with Cincinnati and the way that they handled very, very, very appropriately the whole DeMar Hamlin situation and all of that, and Burrow being the young upstart guy that wears sunglasses before the game and all that. It's all fun and people love it, and they are kind of a Cinderella story until they win one, and then everybody gets sick of you.
And they've now, of course, ended their conference championship game drought. Actually, they did that last year. So now Dallas, who hasn't been to a conference championship game since January of 96, 27 seasons, the only teams in the NFL that have been to a conference championship game since Dallas last went are the Patriots, Bills, Jets, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, Titans, Colts, Jaguars, Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Eagles, Giants. Hold on one second. I'm getting parched. Where'd I leave off? Giants, Packers, Bears, Vikings, 49ers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and Buccaneers.
Okay, so teams with longer droughts of a conference championship than Dallas would be.
Well, the Texans have never been, so take them off the list.
Championship appearance. Dallas, Cleveland.
Yep.
Hold on, there was one other one I was just thinking of that would be Detroit.
Yep. They haven't even won a playoff game since 91, Detroit. Their longest playoff drought. You're missing one. Another ridiculous franchise that hasn't been relevant in years, kind of like the Cowboys that was once one of the powers of the NFL, especially when you were growing up.
The Raiders? No, we should hold on.
Another team that was in the Super Bowl all the time in the 80s.
Not Denver.
Washington.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you forget, right? I mean, if you were to
which is who the Lions lost to the last time they were in a conference
Jake,
championship.
if you were to ask Jake Query, graduating North Central High School, name the greatest franchises right now in the NFL, it would be Cowboys, Packers,
Steelers.
Steelers and then Redskins.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So
you can't say that, man.
Fall from grace. Well, I mean that's what I'm referring
Commanders.
to. Yeah, what they were.
The football team. We got some college hoops to get to, right?
We do, yeah.
Including
big week.
You know why it's a big
week for Indiana, big week for Purdue.
Your new employer is going to be happy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You quitting the radio job? You joining me up at Purdue?
No, but I'll explain why they're going to be happy.
Okay.
I'm taking your job. We'll be back. It's Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate.
They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group, alongside this empty chair and a spilled soda. My name is Derek Schultz. Jake will be back here in just a bit. He went to go to the bathroom and he knocked over his Polar Pop or whatever, and now it's all over the studio. I feel really bad. Like when I was an employee still here at ISC, I felt like, okay, they're giving me a little bit of a break here in the studio because I work for them. So if there are occasionally crumbs or whatever else around, that's fine. But now that I'm not actually a full-time employee of ISC any longer, I wish you would. We really should treat the studio with more respect, or else they're going to kick us out of here.
When I was in here 45 minutes waiting for you, I was cleaning up everything.
We're going to have to do this show from the second bedroom of the two-bedroom apartment where you live alone in Midtown.
I have a studio in there.
And it wasn't a studio; it was a mattress on the floor.
No. It's not a studio place. It's a townhome, but I have a little TV studio in there with the Manson letter in the background.
Let's talk about happy things, not dark, sad things.
See this right here?
Great college basketball week. You cut yourself?
No.
Oh.
I do have a cuticle mishap over here.
Gotcha.
But no, I'm just saying.
What are you doing?
I'm giving you what I'm assuming is going to be, by the time this releases, the ranking of your new employer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Purdue back to number 1.
Almost inevitable, right?
Took my pop to Mackey, first time he'd ever been in Mackey.
Your dad.
Yesterday, my dad. Yep. And we had a great time. It was not an aesthetically pleasing basketball game.
What's going on with the filter of your camera here?
What are you talking about?
Well, this looks like artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
I've been lifting.
No, but like, why is it not a photo? It's like it's been like brushed, like it's been.
No,
painted.
it's not been. This has not been doctored at all.
This looks like some sort of.
That
weird
is
painting.
my real chest hair right there.
Look at how gray this is.
And my real. Well, my beard is getting a little more gray, and Dad's already gray up top there, but we use the company seats, so we're able to. There's not a bad seat at Mackey. That's the beautiful thing about that
cool
building.
Arena.
And it gets loud. It doesn't get as loud for games like Maryland, but Purdue held on just like they did Monday at Michigan State. So I'm not surprised they're back to number 1. The good news is, Jake, is that they have a lot of stuff to work out, Purdue does, but they're winning while they're working that stuff out.
Right.
I think their issue is a lot like Indiana's, where you have a extremely gifted player who 9 times out of 10 every night, you're going to have the best player on the floor. Zach Edey for Purdue, Trace Jackson Davis for Indiana. It can't just be them.
Right.
It has to be
right.
Trey Galloway making shots, Tamar Bates making shots, Fletcher Lawyer making shots, etc. You need somebody else to step up.
You heard Matt Painter say after the game against Maryland, where Purdue had a double-digit lead at the half. They come out in the second half. Maryland obviously gets right there, but Purdue holds on. Edey finishes with 24 and 16 boards, and afterwards Painter goes, he just was average today. But that shows you what a great player he is, that he's average at 24 and 16. But, yes, Trace Jackson Davis, for example, 31 for Indiana. And they needed Tamar Bates and Trey Kaufman to step up and make shots for them. Trey Jackson Davis is having an unbelievable run here, but he needs a secondary helper. Race Thompson, Jordan Geronimo, or Tamar Bates, they've kind of taken rotation. Same with Purdue, to your point. What Purdue has right now, Derek, is you look at Houston losing to Temple at home and Kansas getting blown off the floor at home against TCU, and that would mean almost certainly that Purdue's going to be back to number 1, which is very cool.
Alabama's the threat there.
But Purdue's ahead of them, right?
Yeah, they had a nice win over Missouri. And style points-wise, if you look at the weekend games, Alabama had a better win. But that's,
What time do the rankings drop?
Generally speaking, that's not what happens.
I'll look here and see if they're out yet.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out for where Purdue is.
I'm looking it up right now.
Pre-congratulations to potentially the new, or again, I should say, number 1 Boilermakers. Not much to say with Butler. I want to include Butler on the show,
Jake,
be in
but
the
Atlantic 10.
they're not competitive right now. They were run off the floor. They were boat raced by UConn by 30, and Thad Matta's got a long way to go. I think we understood that they have a long way to go, but the fact that they're not even competitive is it's disheartening because that's not where the program should be. They joined the Big East, and they held their own in the Big East there for a couple of years. Certainly the Holtman years and the very early Jordan years that was happening. But it just kind of shows, sometimes when you and I hate to lay it all on his feet, but sometimes when you miss on a hire, this is what happens. This is the after effects of that happening. And they had a couple of rosters where they did not have enough Big East talent, and you're playing catch up.
Butler's problem was twofold. Number one, and I get it, but I think they got a little bit greedy and fell in love with the dollar signs of moving up into the Big East, which was just not a league that was a good fit. I get it from a monetary standpoint. Totally get it. Number two, once Butler had elevated its profile and was a back-to-back Final Four national championship game program, and Brad Stevens moved on, at that point their market and their marketability and their profile was never going to be higher. That was their chance to do a national search and get a Nate Oates or an Eric Musselman or somebody like that to come there. And they insisted on staying with what had worked forever and just keeping it in the family. And it not once but twice kind of set them back a little bit.
The timing wasn't helpful.
Holtman was decent.
The timing wasn't helpful because Stevens left in July.
No, you're right.
Holtman left late. Remember, I think they were starting to open up, do workouts and all of that. It was the summer when Holtman left. I want to say May, June.
That might be right.
So it was late in the offseason. So I don't fault them for that, but I think they were too tunnel vision on, well, it has to be a Butler guy.
Right.
And to your point. But again, Jake, I'll defend the Big East move. If you weren't moving, you were getting left behind. And look at what happened. Look at what happened to UConn. UConn got left behind, and their athletic department was hemorrhaging money. Like, UConn is just now recovering what it cost them in the AAC the last 7-8 years.
The Atlantic 10 is not a terrible league.
It's not the Big East, though. It's not that same platform, and it doesn't give you that same chance at making tournaments every single year. Jake.
Well, now I will disagree with that.
Butler can't be Creighton? I mean, why can't Butler be that program, that level?
But the Atlantic 10 still usually is a 3-team league, if not 4. I mean, there are good programs in it.
There are some good programs that are still in the A10, yeah.
And they usually get 2 to 4 teams in.
I'm not asking Butler to be Villanova, but there is no reason why Butler can't be Providence, Creighton, even Xavier. Like, there's no reason why Butler can't perform at that level. They shouldn't be the DePaul of this league.
Right. And
they shouldn't be a bottom dweller.
How did DePaul become so bad? How about Georgetown?
Because nobody wants to stay there anymore.
How about Patrick Ewing?
Let's not talk about that. There are some outside factors that have nothing to do with Patrick Ewing that have caused that. Well, a lot of things.
I want to see where they are right now. Hold on.
Pat's actually doing a great job, Big Pat. Stay in there, Big Pat. Keep your head down. Don't listen to haters.
I want to see what.
Don't listen to them.
Okay, right now Georgetown in the Big East. I mean, you're right. They're not. I sold them short. Sorry, they're 5-15 and 0-9 in the league.
Yeah, they're not doing so.
They're
hot.
0-9 in the Big East.
Just relax, okay?
How is that possible?
Okay, it's a good league. It's hard to win in that league.
Okay,
Butler's finding out.
Let me show you what Georgetown's done. In
no,
the Big East.
I don't want to do that. Let's move on to the next.
They lost to Syracuse by 19.
You're doing
Although
this
Syracuse is not Big East, is it?
No, not anymore.
My apologies. Okay, Xavier.
Okay,
lost by 13. Connecticut lost by 11. DePaul lost by 7. Butler. Lost by 29.
Not everybody, not all of our childhood heroes.
Villanova lost by 16. Marquette lost by 22.
Not all of our childhood heroes can
Seton
just get in a
Hall
cushy job at Nevada.
Lost by 15.
New Mexico.
Villanova lost by 4.
New Mexico, real tough to win in New Mexico.
Xavier lost by 13. They're improving.
Like Georgetown is a big time program in a big league. Like, you can't just hide there. Like,
they beat Maryland, Baltimore County.
Hero.
That's cool, right? They lost to American. They lost to Northwestern. They lost to
Alfred
Loyola
was 13 and 18 last year at Nevada. Did you know that? Your boy.
There were things going against
your
him.
boy. So
there were things beyond what he's doing a great job, Steve. Don't listen
6
to the
and
haters.
12. What league are they even in? Are they still in the Mountain West, Nevada? Or did they move around? Okay, yeah, still in the Mountain West. It's a football league.
Really?
Can't even win in the basketball league.
It's a football league.
If Alford right now was at Georgetown, what was Georgetown? 5-15?
Yeah.
They'd be 0-20. They'd be
well, they're on their way to that in the
1-19.
They're 0-9.
That's what they would be right there. Let's get to Ball State. A lot of success, unlike Georgetown and Steve Alford last year.
This is fascinating to me.
Okay.
Georgetown right now has they have 9 losses in the Big East. That is one fewer in the total number than fouls Patrick Ewing had in Game 7.
Wah. Okay. Keep crying about it. You guys are still – Pacers fans are great because they can't celebrate the wins. They just – without talking about the losses. Like, they can't just accept that they weren't the better team that year.
They were the better team in the 4-point play.
The Pacers were the better team in 95, and they won the series. They were absolutely the better team in 98. They won the series. 2000, they were the better team. They won the series. The Knicks were better.
What about 99?
The other years? 99, you lost twice at home. So you can cry about the 4-point play that happened at the Garden all you want. You got beat in the last game. Knicks shut the doors at MSA. You know, that's a you problem. That's not a Knicks problem.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that.
4-point play
sorry that they crushed your hopes.
Play in the history of basketball.
Sorry that happened.
Crap right here.
Michael Lewis and the men.
This right here actually was this.
Ball State Cardinals. Right? No, they won the series, so it wasn't that at all. Okay. Ball State Cardinals split last week, just like they did the week before in MAC play, but still doing well. 13-6, 4-2. They host Buffalo tomorrow, and they visit Northern Illinois on Saturday. Guess who's in first place on the women's side? The Ball State ladies.
That's why Charlie's dancing, baby.
Swept the week, 15-4, 5 and a buck. They have Akron Wednesday, Ohio on Saturday on the road. You can see them at Wortham Arena against Akron, 888-BSU ticket or ballstatesports.com. Be there to support the Cards.
My dancing Charlie.
It's great.
It's awesome.
I love that. Like, no offense to the 3D one, but this is a way better. It's a way better logo, I think. Yeah, you're just gonna hang it on there. Well, what happens if we have other sponsored segments on the show? That's gonna be a problem.
Charlie, we'll strip him down to unveil it.
You were talking without your mic, so I don't know if anybody heard you. We've got Love That Play still to come. Pacers, no bueno lately.
Yeah. Unless they were coached by Patrick Ewing. And then it's like, oh, well, okay.
You weren't mad, but you were kind of fired up about the Pacers coaching search. I've got something that I'm slightly fired up about. Colts coaching search. I've got something that I'm kind of fired up about the Pacers that I think is idiotic
we
that we keep talking about.
Shirt.
So we'll talk about that when we come back. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. And by the way, over the course of the weekend, Mom and Pop Query had Love Heating and Air Conditioning come out.
Really?
Yeah, I had to get the furnace looked at. And my dad said, you know what, those guys are, of course, they've known Chris and John since childhood because I've known the Loves for basically my entire life. So therefore, my parents have as well because, I grew up in the same house. But Love Heating and Air will treat you like family. That's the thing I love about them. A family-owned business that's been around for over 100 years, and they are right here in Central Indiana, committed towards making sure that everybody, from a customer standpoint, not only has the security of feeling warm in the wintertime, cool in the summertime, but also knowing that they are there to help out. 24-hour on-call maintenance is what you get. Great product, knowledge of the product, great prices, and honesty. When you have somebody come out to your house and look at the furnace, you don't really know what's going on. They could tell you just about anything. And I can't tell you the number of people that have said to me like, oh, man, had Love come out and they took a look at it and said, you know what? Actually, you just have a small part here that needs to be replaced. You don't need a new unit at all. That's the kind of honesty and integrity you want from a family business, and that's what you get from Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is their website. 317-353-2141 is their telephone number, and they bring us each and every week our Love That Play, our favorite play from the weekend.
I was going to try to find something from the divisional weekend, but nothing really jumped out to me.
Ooh, there's one that did to me.
Yeah? What was it?
George Kittle's catch?
I mean, yeah, that was pretty cool. It wasn't like a scoring play necessarily,
no, you're right,
or like a big.
But it was kind of a cemented play of after a weekend of football. I mean, he's running across the middle, the crazy circus type catch, and this from a 5th-round pick, right? A 5th-round tight end out of Iowa who's come into his own and is a really good player and seems like a fun guy.
What I liked about it is, you know how I am about punting, kind of like I am about bunting in baseball. Mike McCarthy punted from the San Francisco 40. So I really wanted the Niners to just stuff it down their throat, and that's exactly what they did.
Isn't bunting the only way you got a hit in Little League?
I never got a hit in Little League, so no, that is not the only way I got a hit because I never successfully reached base via a hit in Little League.
Ever.
I only played 2 years. We were 2 years removed from a world championship, Jake. Like, I don't think you understand, like, the Trumbull Little League to Allisonville Little League would be like comparing the SEC to the Mountain West. Like, it's a whole different level of competition.
Not a single hit.
We had just won a world championship. We beat everybody else in the world. Like, Trumbull, Connecticut had, at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, Trumbull, Connecticut had the greatest collection of Little League talent on planet Earth.
Not a hit.
No, I don't know how many times you need me to repeat it. No, I did
Foul
not have
ball?
a hit. Yeah, I had a couple of I grounded out once, and we went out for ice cream up the first baseline against the Blue Jays.
You grounded up the first baseline?
Yeah, fair.
How far did you get towards first base before you were tagged?
Well, Coach Lungy, God rest his soul, always told me to run through the bag, so that's what I did. But I was.
How long did everybody have to wait on that? As long as we did to do the show today?
Actually, I was very fast. I was often a pinch runner, and I was put in the outfield because of my wheels, because I could get the balls.
How was your arm?
Not great.
I find that shocking.
Not a great arm.
Okay.
Because I didn't yet have this build. Like this didn't come until high school.
Your nickname was Shot Put, right?
Muggsy, actually, from basketball, like Muggsy Bogues, and they also called me that in Little League.
I wonder why.
Because I was short.
You remind me. Were you like Tanner?
I don't know who
little
that is.
foul-mouthed kid out there running around scrapping people.
Like the Tanners from Full House, or what are we talking about?
Bad News Bears.
Oh,
Kelly Leak.
Yeah. What's his face was in that?
Walter Matthau.
Yeah, the older guy.
Yeah.
The older guy.
Yeah.
Was in there.
Correct. Buttermaker. Drink beer.
Did they?
They lost to the Yankees.
Chico's Restaurant or whatever.
Chico's
what was
Bail
the?
Bonds.
Okay, yeah.
Chico's Bail
Okay,
Bonds.
it's starting to come back to me. Yeah.
Let Freedom Ring.
What's that?
Chico's Bail Bonds. Let Freedom Ring. They had a little bell.
Yeah. See, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of it. I am aware that there was a movie called Bad News Bears that I think was about baseball that existed.
You know what Tanner says when the Yankees, when they come out and they say 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? And he goes, "Hey Yankees, you can take your trophy and shove it up." Can I not say it here? We're on cable.
No, we can't. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, your nominee for Love That Play?
I took Trace Jackson Davis's dunk against Illinois. I mean, that whole night. What were they doing, by the way? How do you not double him? You just let him just eat you like that?
I mean
he ate him.
He is on Indiana right now. Credit to Mike Woodson in Indiana, because when it looked like the season was teetering and they were in danger of missing the tournament, they bounced back here, and they bounced back in a big way. And that guy's been a huge part of it. No
and they're
doubt
not
about
squeezing by people. They're crushing people. Like they crushed Illinois.
Do they come back next year? Or does he come back next year?
No, I think this is it. His stock is what it is. It's not going to get any higher. If he's lucky, he's a second-round pick probably.
Which is why he may come back. He's going to make $1.5 million next year at Indiana. So why sacrifice that to go make $800,000 non-guaranteed in the NBA?
Well, because you're getting trained by and practicing against the best players in the world.
Fair.
And if you want to pursue, Jake, you and I may think Trace Jackson Davis isn't an NBA player. He's a second-round pick. Trace Jackson Davis doesn't think that.
Right.
Right? That's not his mentality. So you want to go and be challenged. I mean, I think it'd be great if he came back again. But, my dad asked me in the car, we were going down 65, and he was like, does Zach Edey come back next year? And I was like, you know what? I hadn't even thought about that because he's a junior.
Right. So I talked to a couple of NBA level where they would be right now. Trace Jackson Davis, late first rounder, maybe second rounder. Zach Edey, mid-second. Jalen Hood-Schifino, probably first rounder at this point.
Wow. Even after just 1 year?
Yeah. Like in the 20s.
Yeah. I mean, he looks the part, doesn't he? He looks the part for sure.
He's got good speed.
And he's been a nice player. He's been a guy that kind of lived up to the hype there. Let's talk Pacers while we're on the NBA topic, and something that has been driving me crazy. They've lost 7 in a row at the time of this taping. They play again on Tuesday. They come back home after an 0-4 road trip. It's a long season. It's 82 games, right? I'm not going to do this. Should the Pacers go all in for the playoffs or should they tank? Neither. How do you want me to answer that? The Pacers should ride out the season and have the future in mind. Like this idea, remember you and I were kind of going back and forth about Buddy Hield and all this?
Right.
Pacers shouldn't be shut off to trading any of those guys. You should listen to all trade offers for sure. But you have to have your mindset not on the spring of this year. Your mind has to be on what's going to happen past here.
This is the bottom line. The Pacers coming into this season were under the anticipation that this season was the beginning of a retool / bordering on rebuild. They got out to a really good start, and their pieces fit together, and they're like, wow, we might have something here. The key to all of that is Tyrese Halliburton. He gets hurt. They've lost 7 straight, and water's finding its level, but I don't think that should cause them to have to push the panic button and go out and make a side.
No, exactly.
Change.
I don't think that either.
Right.
But you shouldn't shut yourself off
said it
to
better
that.
than you.
I said it fine. You shouldn't shut yourself off to that. Like if somebody comes with an offer, if you aren't confident that you can extend Miles Turner and somebody comes you an offer, even if you are, and somebody comes to you with an offer that blows your socks off, then take it.
You always listen to offers.
Yeah. And Buddy, the same thing. Unless I guess you can keep him around and then you can pay a 32, 33, 34-year-old $15 million a season if you want, but I don't think that's the approach that you take.
I think Buddy Hield is a very important part of who they are, though.
I think they are, but who they are right now doesn't matter. That's my opinion of it. Who they are right now is a play-in round team.
Right.
You're building towards something. I like Buddy Hield too. Buddy Hield is not going to be...
He's an important part of where they can be, to be honest.
But he's not going to be a part of a championship core for this team, right? Because the championship core for this team is going to be 2 or 3 years down the line from right now.
But Buddy Hield could be, for this team, although it's a little different because the guy I'm about to mention was coming from a situation where he knew winning. But Buddy Hield could be, 4 years from now, on a really competitive team, what Byron Scott was on that 90, like in the 95 team. A complimentary.
I mean, yeah, Buddy Hield will still be in the league in 4 years.
94.
I don't think you view him as like you would Nembhard and Halliburton and even Jackson and some of these other young players because they're all on the same timeline.
No, you're right.
You know?
You're right.
Like even Duarte, I'm not sure is on that timeline necessarily because he's already 25.
Sage moving by to Bull Schultz next?
And then we'll wrap up the show.
All right, sounds good.
It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Final time. Bailey and Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jake Query, I'm Derek Schultz. Bailey and Wood Financial
You said that
Group.
way too fast.
855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Obviously the presenting sponsors of this show, but Mike Wood and his team looking to have a great 2023 after building upon a fantastic and record-breaking 2022. It's let the good times roll down there at Bailey and Wood because they're great at what they do and they have a great customer base that supports them.
Derek, they're committed to making sure that people are staying right here in the area, that people's money is staying. You know, you're not going with some national outlet to get you the best mortgage rates. And in addition to that, you're going with a company that's committed to giving back to the community as well, which is what's great.
By the way, you see the Tua tweet while we're talking about Mike Wood and the Dolphins? Tua almost gave like I'm paraphrasing, celebrating the closing of a chapter and ready for the next one or something. And everybody's like, what's this mean?
What did it mean?
I don't know. It might mean that he's not going to be on the Dolphins anymore.
Or retiring?
Maybe.
I mean, he's had how many
head injuries and all that? Yeah, maybe.
How many concussions?
I'm just interested to see what happens here. Like we were talking during the break, Lamar Jackson, we don't know, and Trey Lance, the quarterback market at Brady. Doesn't look like he's going to go back to Tampa. He's going to go somewhere. It looks like he's going to keep playing. So interesting to see.
Quarterback moves actually in quarterback news kind of leads us to our next segment here. It is time for our WGU Indiana Sage Move of the Week. WGU Indiana is Indiana's largest online accredited university. There are 700,000 Hoosiers. You might be one of them that has college credit sitting out there that you've never capitalized on to finish that degree because you thought you didn't have time or maybe money was an issue. Well, guess what? Now WGU wants to help you out with that because WGU allows you to work on your schedule because ambition never rests. And when it comes to working online, I can tell you because I am currently finishing doing exactly that. I'm in my last 3 classes of completing my college degree, and it has been an easier acclimation than I would have anticipated. WGU, again, online, Indiana's largest online accredited university with multiple programs or job certifications. So whether you're starting out for the first time or finishing your degree, WGU is here for you. The Sage Move of the Week, Derek, I think has to be the fact, like we were just talking about with the Pacers. The Pacers find themselves in a position due to injury of having to figure out what they want to do with their roster. San Francisco was in that same situation where not one but 2 quarterbacks go down due to injury, and they had to make a decision. Do we go and make a move and make a trade, or do we trust the core that we have and bring in a guy who was the last player selected in the NFL draft out of Iowa State, and there he is, Brock Purdy, who so far is making good for them on their faith in him.
Can I just say this? These are the best jerseys in sports.
Jerseys or helmets?
These are everything. These are the best kits. Helmet, pants, jersey.
You think so?
It's perfect. It's timeless. There's not too much going on, but it's not boring. It's great. Yeah. I love it. So I'm down for Brock Purdy and WGU Sage Move of the Week.
So you're saying the outfits are Purdy?
Yeah. They're very purdy. Let's get to Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bold Bleep to make your kitchen purdy or your bathroom or your basement, like in my case, chateaukitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchen's Facebook and Instagram before and after pictures. They're going to do a great job in your home like they've done in mine. Statement 1, Jake. Jim Irsay is handling this coaching process well. Buy it or Bold Bleep?
Neutral, because he's not handling it at all.
Which is good, though, right?
For now. That's a good point. So I'll say buy it then.
Yeah, I mean.
But we'll see what he does in the end.
He'll have his say.
He'll make the decision.
Yeah, Jim Irsay's not going to sit out.
He's going to make
here.
the decision.
I think he's going to.
Chris Ballard is the recruiter. Jim Irsay will make the decision.
I think, but he's at least trusting the process of letting Ballard go through everything.
So that he can then make the decision.
But I'm just saying, we didn't know that going in that he was going to do that. So that is at least.
They were up front. Chris Ballard said.
I didn't know if we could buy them on that, is what I mean. More beneficial for the Pacers to make the playoffs and be in the lottery. Buy it or Bold Bleep. We only have about a minute left here.
At this point, it's been a fun season, and people have seen the promise, and they've gotten reinvested. So that point is served. So now it's better to go into the lottery.
Better for the playoffs. A lot of these guys are still going to be around. I think that experience would help them.
The
Last one.
Is good.
NFL Conference Championship game should be on neutral sites. Buy it or Bold Bleep?
Oh, 100% Bull Schultz. You've earned the right to host it.
I want it to be neutral. I would love it. Have the Colts play the Patriots in Santa Clara. Let's do it. Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, then
I love that idea.
Maybe we could have players opt out too. Let's just make it all like the
Amazing
bowl
idea.
games.
Let's do it in Vegas.
Right.
Screw it. Let's go. Thanks to our sponsors, Lou Malnati's,
just
Bailey
interview
Wood Financial
everybody
Group,
while we're at it.
Love Heating and Cooling, WGU Indiana, Ball State Sports. Who am I missing? Anybody?
Did you say Bailey and Wood?
I did. I think
Did
I
you say
got
Chateau
I think I got it.
Kitchens?
Chateau Kitchens as well. Thanks to Ray,
Love Heating
Jordan,
and Air?
Vince, and everybody. We got to go, Jake. Bye.
See ya.
Square and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.